Chapter 1488. Let's consider it as having met. Do you have any business? Lin Moyu was the first to sense it, followed by Lin Mohan and then the others. In the sky thousands of miles away, a dark cloud was rolling in with overwhelming pressure.
God Sovereign?
Lin Moyu vaguely sensed the aura of a god sovereign, but it was somewhat ambiguous. Su Jianxing said,
It's not a god sovereign. It's a peak little god sovereign, with 1 foot already in the Lost Star River but not fully in, so not a true god sovereign. Can it be done this way?
After a little god sovereign reaches perfection, their soul enters the Lost Star River, receives its baptism, and gains its recognition, thus becoming a god sovereign. At that time, they can roam the Lost Star River, harness its power, and their combat strength far exceeds that of a little god sovereign. But he only put 1 foot into the Lost Star River, receiving part of its baptism. In this way, he cannot harness the power of the Lost Star River. Although slightly stronger than a little god sovereign, the increase is limited. Lin Mohan's eyes showed disdain.
The baptism of the Lost Star River needs to be completed in 1 go to achieve perfection. Doing it this way is putting the cart before the horse. It's really foolish.
Lin Mohan spoke bluntly, and Lin Moyu chuckled.
Sister, don't speak such harsh truths.
Listening to the siblings' conversation, Su Jianxing's mouth twitched twice.
His name is Dong Fangzhe, a top genius in the Divine City.
Lin Mohan showed no mercy.
A top genius would do something like this. More like a top fool.
Su Jianxing smiled bitterly.
Lin Shiji is joking. Dong Fangzhe has a special talent. Although he only received part of the baptism, he can already harness some of the Lost Star River's power. And because of this talent, the 2-part baptism won't affect him much.
Lin Moyu shook his head.
Even the slightest flaw will become a disaster in the future.
Lin Moyu had experienced a perfect ascension to the God King realm and knew this very well. Even the smallest oversight would be magnified infinitely as one's realm increased. Dong Fangzhe relied on his talent to minimize the impact, but imperfection is still imperfection. Lin Mohan glanced at Su Jianxing.
Your foundation is solid. Your future achievements will surpass Dong Fangzhe's.
Suddenly receiving praise, Su Jianxing felt flattered.
Thank you, Fairy Han, for the compliment. I am well aware of my own limitations.
Lin Moyu knew his sister's character.
My sister never speaks lightly. Cultivation is not about who advances faster but who goes further.
Su Jianxing remembered their words deeply. The pressure from the dark cloud grew stronger, enveloping everyone, as if a giant hand was pressing down on them. This behavior was very impolite and showed the other party's arrogance.
How rude!
Someone shouted angrily, releasing a powerful aura.
Courting death!
The people from the War God Hall reacted, their strong pressure rising to the sky. They had always been superior. When had they ever been treated this way? There were many little god sovereigns present, none of whom feared anyone.
Ha!
A wild laugh came from the dark cloud, and the pressure suddenly increased. Dong Fangzhe, relying on his own strength, confronted more than a dozen little god sovereigns without showing any weakness. From the displayed strength, Dong Fangzhe was indeed very strong. However, Lin Mohan's eyes still showed disdain, not taking Dong Fangzhe seriously at all. As for Lin Moyu, he had killed many god sovereigns, so someone like Dong Fangzhe was nothing to him. Su Jianxing stood by, his expression very serious. He was enduring the pressure from Dong Fangzhe, and it was not easy. Lin Moyu lightly patted Su Jianxing's shoulder, and Su Jianxing's body trembled. All the pressure instantly receded like a tide, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. He looked at Lin Moyu in shock. Such a casual action had fully demonstrated Lin Moyu's strength.
Could it be that what Chu Xiong said is true?
Su Jianxing had a bold guess, thinking that Chu Xiong might not have been exaggerating. Lin Moyu smiled.
Are there many people like Dong Fangzhe in the Divine City?
Su Jianxing said.
The Divine City is strictly hierarchical, divided into outer, primary, intermediate, advanced, and top levels. Dongfang Zhe is at the primary level, and among the primary level, he is a top genius. But compared to the intermediate level, he is still far behind. However, I have only heard about the intermediate level geniuses. I have never seen them. They rarely appear.
Lin Moyu learned more about the Divine City, and his understanding of it became clearer. Lin Moyu said,
He should be close to reaching the intermediate level.
Su Jianxing was surprised.
How did Lin Shixiang know?
Lin Moyu smiled.
It's not hard to guess. His high profile and aggressive behavior is likely to give us a strong impression of his power. His ultimate goal is to surpass us, thereby improving his status in the Divine City and gaining promotion.
From the limited information, Lin Moyu had already deduced a lot. Su Jianxing admired him.
I didn't expect Lin Shixiang, who hasn't entered the Divine City, to analyze this information. Truly impressive.
Lin Mohan laughed.
Little brother, you've become smarter.
Lin Moyu sighed.
No choice, the great world is like walking on thin ice.
Lin Mohan flicked Lin Moyu's forehead with her jade hand.
Don't act so old and wise. Remember how young you are.
Facing his elder sister, Lin Moyu was truly helpless. The pressure in the sky finally receded. Both sides were evenly matched, and continuing would yield no results. In terms of pure pressure, Dongfang Zhe had won. After all, they couldn't really fight, and competing with pressure was the limit. The little god sovereigns tacitly withdrew their pressure, and those who were not little god sovereigns breathed a sigh of relief. Under the pressure of the little god sovereigns, they were not comfortable. The dark cloud dispersed, revealing Dongfang Zhe's true form. Dongfang Zhe looked handsome and confident, with a slightly unruly aura that could captivate countless young girls. Dongfang Zhe cupped his fists towards everyone.
I apologize for any offense just now. Fellow disciples, please forgive me.
His sudden politeness made it hard for others to get angry. Chu Xiong snorted.
If there's a chance, let's have a match.
Dongfang Zhe laughed.
Sure, when Chu Xiong enters the Divine City, we can have a good fight.
Lin Moyu gathered more information, realizing that it seemed possible to duel in the Divine City. Seeing Dongfang Zhe's demeanor, he was even more certain that his previous actions were deliberate. Dongfang Zhe's gaze swept over the crowd and fixed on Lin Mohan. When he saw Lin Moyu beside her, a trace of displeasure flashed in his eyes, but he didn't show it. He moved instantly to Lin Mohan, transforming into a gentleman.
Fairy Han, long time no see.
Lin Mohan remained indifferent.
Have we met?
Dongfang Zhe's expression froze. Then he forced a smile.
3 years ago, my master took me to visit Sword Orchid God Sovereign, and I had the honor of meeting Fairy Han.
Lin Mohan responded with an,
Oh, did that happen? I don't remember.
Dongfang Zhe felt awkward.
Perhaps Fairy Han was deeply engrossed in cultivation at the time.
Lin Mohan remained expressionless.
Let's consider it as having met. Do you have any business?
1489, 1489. Chapter 1489. This guy's brain doesn't work well. Lin Mohan's demeanor was distant, keeping people at arm's length. Seeing Dongfang Zhe's awkward expression, Lin Moyu found it somewhat amusing. He knew that Dongfang Zhe had acted so arrogantly earlier partly to show off in front of Lin Mohan. However, the result was the opposite of what he intended. Instead of impressing her, he ended up looking like a clown. Dongfang Zhe forced a smile through his embarrassment.
It's nothing, just...
Before he could finish, Lin Mohan interrupted.
If it's nothing, then don't stand here and block my view of the match.
Instinctively, Dongfang Zhe stepped aside, making way. The situation became even more awkward. Dongfang Zhe felt like he had become the center of attention, but not in a good way. He felt humiliated and disgraced. Everyone present was likely to enter the Divine City in the future, and they might spread today's events. Rumors would be impossible to contain, but if he did nothing, all his previous efforts would be in vain. He would truly become a laughingstock. His eyes darted around, and suddenly he called out loudly.
Is Lin Moyu here?
His gaze was sharp, scanning the crowd. Dongfang Zhe suddenly felt something was off. Why was everyone looking at him? No, they weren't looking at him. They were looking behind him. A clear voice came from behind.
What do you want with me?
Dongfang Zhe turned abruptly and saw Lin Moyu.
So you're Lin Moyu?
Lin Moyu looked at him as if he were an idiot.
I haven't hidden my identity. Can't you check for yourself? Or are your eyes too high to see certain things?
Seeing that Lin Moyu was ignoring him, Dongfang Zhe's eyes flashed with displeasure. He found Lin Moyu increasingly annoying. Earlier, seeing Lin Moyu standing beside his beloved goddess, he had already disliked him. Now his dislike grew even stronger. Dongfang Zhe said coldly,
I've heard you're ranked first in the 3 rankings of the Vermilion Bird Star domain, and even the Azure Sword God Sovereign praises you highly. But seeing you in person, you're quite disappointing.
Lin Moyu seemed not to understand Dongfang Zhe's insinuation, and instead said to himself,
So Senior Azure Sword has successfully advanced to God Sovereign. That's good news.
After saying this, he fell silent, making Dongfang Zhe feel ignored again. Dongfang Zhe was used to being the center of attention and had never experienced such disregard. He was angry but didn't know how to express it. Lin Moyu didn't respond to his provocations, as if he didn't understand the hidden hostility in Dongfang Zhe's words.
Is this guy an idiot? I've made it so obvious, and he still doesn't get it? Can we have a proper conversation?
Dongfang Zhe's face turned red and white, unsure whether to stay or leave. He received a lot of mocking glances, and in his heart he shouted,
Lin Moyu, before the 4-star domain competition, how about we have a match? I can suppress my cultivation to the 3rd rank of the God King realm.
Lin Moyu flatly refused.
Not interested. If you have nothing else, please move aside. You're blocking my view of the match. Watch the match? Watch your sister's match.
Dongfang Zhe roared internally, almost losing his temper on the spot. He gritted his teeth.
Don't you understand what I'm saying? I'm challenging you.
As soon as he finished speaking, a sharp sword light exploded in front of him. A burst of golden light erupted from Dongfang Zhe's body, and amidst the roaring sound, he was sent flying into the air. Dongfang Zhe's face changed dramatically. The one who had attacked him was Lin Mohan. Lin Mohan had suddenly attacked him. But why? There was no reason. Could it be? Dongfang Zhe thought of many things in an instant. He wondered if the two of them had that kind of relationship, and his face turned extremely ugly. Lin Mohan stood with her sword.
If you want to fight, you can fight me. No need to go to the Human Emperor Network. We can do it right here.
Lin Mohan was extremely domineering. Behind her, a 7-colored long sword slowly rose, with delicate orchids engraved on the blade, looking very exquisite. The sword was an illusory image, yet it gave off a sharp feeling, making everyone's skin tingle as if being cut by sword energy.
It's the 9 Heavens Orchid Sword, the inheritance of the Sword Orchid God Sovereign. I didn't expect Fairy Han to have comprehended the 9 Heavens Orchid Sword to the 7-colored level. Even the Sword Orchid God Sovereign only reached the 8-colored level. Fairy Han truly deserves to be the #1 genius of the younger generation in the White Tiger Star domain. Just the 9 Heavens Orchid Sword alone is enough to rival a God Sovereign.
Everyone marveled, and some even egged her on.
Fairy Han, beat him up. Don't hold back.
From their words, Lin Moyu learned that the Sword Orchid God Sovereign was a very powerful figure in the White Tiger Star domain. Her inheritance was extremely strong, and Lin Mohan had fully inherited it, making her exceptionally powerful. Dongfang Zhe looked at the heroic Lin Mohan and couldn't help but ask,
Why?
Lin Mohan replied indifferently,
Didn't you want to fight?
Dongfang Zhe shook his head.
I didn't want to fight you.
Lin Mohan sneered.
You want to fight my little brother? Then you have to get past my sword first. Little brother,
She called him affectionately. Dongfang Zhe's face turned even uglier. Then the crowd started mocking him.
This guy is really funny. He wants to fight Fairy Han's little brother, and then asks Fairy Han why. Doesn't he realize he's a little god sovereign trying to bully a third-rank god king jr.? How shameless. Fairy Han is also a little god sovereign. Now he doesn't dare to fight, does he? He wants to get close to Fairy Han but ends up bullying her little brother. What a fool.
Every word pierced Dongfang Zhe's ears. Dongfang Zhe's expression became extremely colorful. Lin Moyu was actually Fairy Han's little brother. Only then did he notice Fairy Han's name, Lin Mohan. They were really siblings, not just close like siblings, but actual blood-related siblings. No wonder Lin Mohan stood up for her little brother. Dongfang Zhe admired Lin Mohan but ended up bullying her little brother. How could he have done such a thing? For a moment his emotions surged, and his face turned red, white, green, and blue. He had no face to stay any longer and turned into a stream of light, disappearing without a trace. Laughter erupted in the central square. Dongfang Zhe's appearance had turned into a farce. This embarrassment would likely spread far and wide, even reaching the divine city soon. Su Jianxing didn't know what to say. Thinking about it, it seemed Lin Moyu was right. Whether in cultivation or today's events, Dongfang Zhe's brain indeed didn't work well. Lin Mohan sheathed her sword.
What a waste.
All right, Dongfang Zhe's evaluation in Lin Mohan's eyes had dropped another level, from brainless to a waste. Anyway, Dongfang Zhe's chances of pursuing Lin Mohan were now in the negative. Lin Moyu laughed.
Then I'll rely on you to protect me from now on, sis.
Lin Mohan rolled her eyes at him.
Handle your own affairs. You're a grown man. Do you want to be a waste too?
Lin Moyu was completely speechless. In front of his sister, it was better to stay quiet. Su Jianxing stood by, looking like he wanted to laugh but didn't dare, making for an amusing sight. 1490. Chapter 1490. Exploiting a bug in the great world. The boring match in the projection finally ended, and Lin Moyu lost 100,000 points. The match had lasted for most of the day and was extremely dull. However, the upcoming preliminaries were much more exciting. Lin Moyu also witnessed the battles of cultivators from the Azure Dragon Star domain. Their attacks were indeed fierce, a world apart from those of the Black Tortoise Star domain. As a benefit for being a seed contestant, they didn't need to travel around the 4 major star domains to watch the matches. Watching match after match, they could understand the cultivators, spells, and attack methods of each star domain. The match in the Azure Dragon Star domain ended in less than 10 minutes. Next, matches from the White Tiger Star domain and the Vermilion Bird Star domain were staged one after another. No matter which star domain, the matches were more exciting than those of the Black Tortoise Star domain. After this, Lin Moyu no longer placed any bets and just quietly watched the matches. Lin Moyu asked,
Sister, what do you think of the spells from other star domains?
Lin Mohan, as always, was domineering.
Not interesting, just child's play.
Lin Moyu continued.
During the matches, our realms are the same.
Lin Mohan chuckled.
So what? No matter what spells they use, I can break them with a single sword.
This was her sword intent, her sword heart, and her Tao heart. No matter what methods the enemy used, she could break them with a single sword. No matter how strong the enemy was, she had an unstoppable sword. Lin Moyu gave a thumbs up.
Sister, you're so impressive.
Lin Mohan rolled her eyes at him.
Flattery won't work on me.
Well, the suppression from the bloodline was somewhat helpless. In the following days, Lin Moyu watched a few more matches, gaining a deeper understanding of the cultivators from each star domain. Lin Mohan no longer appeared. She was cultivating in her residence. She didn't go to the time house. According to her, the time house conflicted with her talent and was more harmful than beneficial. Moreover, the 9 Heavens Orchid Sword she inherited emphasized comprehension. As long as she comprehended it, she could make great strides forward. If she couldn't comprehend it, No amount of hard practice would help. A few days later, Lin Moyu also stopped going to the central square. He had seen enough and had gathered enough information about the cultivators from the 4 major star domains. After summarizing, the conclusion he reached was not much different from what Lin Mohan had said. No matter what fighting style or spells the opponent used, as long as one's own strength was strong enough, one could break them with force. Especially when all realms were suppressed to the God King level, his God King realm body was simply an unparalleled weapon. These few days seemed somewhat wasted, but they were not. They increased Lin Moyu's knowledge, turning the information he had read into real images. The saying,
"Hearing is believing, seeing is believing,"
was true. No matter how much information one read, it was not as accurate as seeing it with one's own eyes. 5 days later, Lin Moyu entered the time house. Unlike Lin Mohan, his current cultivation was only at the 3rd rank of the God King realm. With more than half a year left until the 4-star domain competition, using the time house for cultivation would be enough to advance his cultivation further. In the time house, time accelerated 100-fold, consuming 10,000 points per day. For Lin Moyu's wealth, 10,000 points were nothing. Entering the time house, he activated the formation. Time began to accelerate, and Lin Moyu keenly felt that everything was changing. The eye of the soul opened, and he saw the lines of the laws. The lines representing the laws of time were invisible. They were too advanced. The lines representing the laws of space were also invisible. When Lin Moyu first saw the lines of the laws, he noticed that the first-tier lines of the laws were invisible. It wasn't that his soul wasn't strong enough. It was just the way it was. The great world had restrictions, not allowing the first-tier lines of the laws to be easily revealed. If the first-tier lines of the laws were visible, those in the other shore realm would have comprehended them long ago. The visible lines of the laws were all 3rd-tier laws with some 2nd-tier laws. Some powerful laws seemed to be intentionally hidden. This phenomenon was very interesting. Lin Moyu didn't know if there was a special reason or if it was just the way it was. The formation continued to operate, and time accelerated faster and faster. The lines of the laws appeared twisted, not very strongly, but they were indeed twisted. When the time flow reached 100-fold, the lines of the laws vibrated like waves, and the laws they emitted also twisted. Lin Moyu watched this scene and murmured to himself,
"Comprehending the laws has become more difficult. Because of the 100-fold time acceleration, the twisted laws make comprehension more difficult. However, because of the 100-fold acceleration, even though comprehension has become more difficult, it still saves a lot of time. Depending on each person's aptitude, the time saved is roughly 10 to 20 times. 10 to 20 times the efficiency, but at the cost of a 100-fold lifespan. It's hard to say if it's worth it. However,
a hint of joy appeared in Lin Moyu's eyes.
The twisted laws don't affect me."
His consciousness sank into the soul world. In the soul world, purple light shone, like a 5th-grade purple jade soul, a mark of the other shore realm. The entire soul world exuded a noble aura, majestic and awe-inspiring. Under the purple light, stars of spells shone brightly. Summoning spells formed a 9-star spell system, with the undying law evolving and transforming within, appearing very real. The summoning spells didn't manifest the complete undying law, but a part representing the life force of the undying law. It granted life to the undead army, forming the foundation of the undead army. The skeletal spells manifested the death force of the undying law, bringing hell and death. The 2 laws combined formed the complete undying law. In the early stages of Lin Moyu's cultivation, they provided immense help. Now, the skeletal spells had merged into one, forming the skeletal hell, and could no longer manifest the laws. But now, Lin Moyu no longer needed to rely on them. With a thought, his soul power surged, and his entire body emitted a purple light. In the soul world, a gray-white law star river condensed. Although not a god sovereign, Lin Moyu used his other shore realm soul to forcibly summon the Law Star River. The undying law surged within the Star River, and the entire Law Star River was the complete undying law, eliminating the need for him to merge and comprehend it separately. The Law Star River was the best model for comprehending the laws. A smile appeared on his soul.
Isn't this more useful than manifesting the laws?
Using the Law Star River to comprehend the laws was something only Lin Moyu could do. The Law Star River was exclusive to God's sovereigns, who could freely manipulate it. But God's sovereigns had already fully mastered their laws. Summoning the Law Star River again would be meaningless. Lin Moyu, however, used his other shore realm soul to forcibly summon the Law Star River for comprehension. This method was unprecedented in the great world. The key was that the time acceleration affected the lines of the laws, making it much harder for others to comprehend the laws. But the time acceleration didn't affect Lin Moyu's soul world, nor did it affect the Law Star River, so it had no impact on Lin Moyu. 100-fold time was just 100-fold time, not wasted at all. 1491, 1491. Chapter 1491. Regardless of the task, I'll break it with a single sword. Days passed by, and the number of people in the central square gradually decreased. Like Lin Moyu, many had entered the time house to cultivate. For these seed contestants, the human race's fire seeds, cultivation was ingrained in their bones. During these few days, more people gradually arrived. The seed contestants from the 4 major star domains had already gathered, with Lin Mohan being the last to arrive. Afterwards, a few more people came from the War God Hall, and several others came from the Divine City. The total number of seed contestants reached 100. Among them, there were 40 seed contestants from the 4 major star domains. The War God Hall and the Divine City each had 30 seed contestants. In previous 4-star domain competitions, the War God Hall and the Divine City had never sent so many people before. Generally, they would only send around 10 people just to make up the numbers. This time, however, the number of people they sent suddenly increased, for reasons unknown. After the last person arrived, the entire Ring Mountain continent began to tremble. The formations in the time houses simultaneously stopped operating, and the projection in the central square also disappeared at the same time. Numerous towering mountains rose from the sea, far outnumbering the islands. The mountains stood like upright spikes in the ocean, covered in vegetation, with many giant beasts roaming and roaring within. After the time houses were interrupted, those who were cultivating inside came out one by one. When they emerged, they realized that the entire world had changed. The once bright and sunny sky had turned gloomy. Immediately after, a vast array of runes appeared in the sky, forming a massive formation that enveloped the entire continent. An overwhelming pressure descended from the heavens, weighing down on everyone. Everyone's faces revealed a sense of panic.
What's happening? Why can't we fly anymore? The formation has sealed off the airspace. Not only that, it has also restricted the use of magic treasures. No, it's only restricting the use of magic treasures at the God Sovereign realm and above. We can still use those at the true God realm. My cultivation is decreasing.
As the formation continued to operate, the pressure grew stronger, and the restrictions became more severe. Lin Moyu remained calm and composed, having experienced such situations countless times before. During his time on the battlefield, most of the tasks he undertook involved suppressing his cultivation level. Being unable to fly was a common occurrence, nothing out of the ordinary. Lin Mohan walked over, equally composed.
Do you know what's happening?
Lin Moyu looked up at the sky.
It seems there's going to be a task or trial.
Lin Mohan observed the massive formation in the sky, her eyes revealing a hint of interest, her expression quite different from Lin Moyu's. Regardless of the task or trial, she would break it with a single sword. After watching for a few seconds, she turned to Lin Moyu and said,
Little brother, congratulations on reaching the 4th rank of the God King realm. Your cultivation speed is quite fast, almost catching up to your elder sister.
Lin Moyu smiled.
I'm just joking. How could I catch up to my elder sister?
Lin Mohan smiled and gave him a look that said,
At least you know your place.
In the outside world, nearly 10 days had passed, but for Lin Moyu it was nearly 3 years in the time house. 3 years to advance a single rank might be considered an astonishing speed for others, but for Lin Moyu it was a bit slow.
For me, the time house is not the optimal choice.
As the formation continued to operate, everyone's cultivation levels decreased until they stabilized at the first rank of the God King realm. Now, they had all been suppressed to the first rank of the God King realm. A total of 3 ranks had been reduced, but Lin Moyu showed no reaction. However, many others couldn't accept it and began to complain. Lin Moyu calmly said. Lin Mohan nodded.
I had a feeling it wouldn't be that simple, just gathering us here. It seems there are other arrangements.
Lin Moyu had an indifferent expression.
Let's see what kind of tricks they can come up with.
The formation finally stabilized completely, and a giant face appeared in the sky. The face was hazy and indistinct, but the aura of majesty it emanated made everyone's heart tremble. Lin Moyu's heart trembled slightly, and he murmured,
This is not a divine lord.
Lin Mohan affirmed Lin Moyu's words.
It's from the other shore.
They were truly being given face, as a being from the other shore had appeared. Although their true appearance couldn't be seen clearly, their mere presence was enough. The pressure from the other shore being was immensely powerful, like thunder and prison descending upon them, causing many people to be startled and fall to the ground. Someone exclaimed loudly,
What kind of existence is this? It's terrifying. How could there be such a powerful being in this world? Is this real? Or is it because of the formation? I must be seeing an illusion.
Most people were unaware of the existence of the other shore, and some felt their worldview had been shattered. The other shore being observed the reactions of the crowd, with a mix of approval and disappointment in their eyes. A thunderous voice emerged from their mouth.
I will now issue the tasks. Listen carefully, everyone. Task 1. Leave Fire Seed Island and exit the Ring Mountain continent. The direction is your choice, but you must travel alone. You cannot move together with others. Task 2. During the journey, slay the giant beasts on the island. The more you slay, the higher your score. Task 3. Find the tokens hidden along the way. You can earn points by finding them. Be careful, as the tokens may appear anywhere, in corners or even inside the giant beasts. Note, if you encounter others, you must separate within 1 minute. You cannot converse or reveal any information. The entire process will be monitored by the Human Emperor Network, so do not harbor any illusions. Even if you communicate through soul transmission, it will be useless. You can view the specific scoring rules and rankings on the Human Emperor Network. This task will affect your level within the Divine City. Those who fail the task will be stripped of their qualification to participate in the 4-star domain competition. Those from the Divine City will have their level demoted, and those without a level will be expelled from the Divine City. The task will begin in half an hour.
The voice, like thunder, was etched into everyone's souls as words. After speaking, the face in the sky disappeared, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. They then began to seriously consider the task at hand. Each person would have to rely on their own abilities to leave the Ring Mountain continent. Here, they could not fly and would have to traverse mountains and rivers. Along the way, there would be giant beasts, and the journey would not be smooth sailing, as battles would be inevitable. Their cultivation levels had been suppressed, and they could not use powerful magic treasures. They also had to search for tokens. Although the strength of the giant beasts was unknown, it was clear that the task would not be simple. Lin Moyu remained calm, his heart undisturbed. He had faced even more challenging environments before, so this was nothing to him. He looked towards his elder sister.
It seems we can't rely on each other anymore.
Lin Mohan snorted.
What, did you want your elder sister to lead you out while slaying everything in our path?
Lin Moyu shook his head.
I was thinking I could lead you out while slaying everything.
Lin Mohan scoffed.
Don't be delusional. What are you thinking? I'll beat you into a pig's head if you can't get first place.
Lin Moyu laughed.
Don't worry, I won't give you that opportunity.
At this point, the task had not yet begun, and many people began to prepare. Someone shouted loudly,
Does anyone have extra medicine, healing potions, or potions to restore energy? I'll buy them.
Among the seed contestants, some were skilled in alchemy and had prepared supplies, just in case.
Brothers from the Black Tortoise Star domain, do you have any puppets for sale? The kind that can scout ahead. Does anyone have extra true God realm magic treasures to sell? We can negotiate the price.
Lin Moyu didn't need to prepare anything. He connected to the Human Emperor network and began to check the specific information about the task. 1492 Chapter 1492. Each displaying secret techniques, the Golden Light Path. The task required leaving the Ring Mountain continent. Lin Moyu saw that there was actually not just one task, but two requirements. Simply leaving the Ring Mountain continent was not enough. One also needed to obtain enough points. If the points were not enough, the ranking would definitely be low, and at most one could avoid punishment but not receive any rewards. If one wanted to get first place, then one had to find a way to obtain a large number of points. The ways to obtain points were either by killing giant beasts or obtaining tokens. Killing different levels of giant beasts would yield different point amounts. Normal giant beast, 1 point. Elite giant beast, 10 points. Boss giant beast, 1,000 points. Leader giant beast, 100,000 points. The giant beasts were divided into 4 levels. The weakest was worth 1 point, while the strongest was worth 100,000 points, a difference of 100,000 times. Lin Moyu's expression looked strange as he continued to check the point values for the tokens. The tokens were also divided into 4 types: silver token, gold token, white jade token, and purple jade token. The point values were the same division as the giant beasts, ranging from the silver
500
token worth 1 point to the purple jade token worth 100,000 points, again a difference of 100,000 times. In Lin Moyu's view, the 2 ways of obtaining points corresponded to combat power and attentiveness respectively. Some cultivators had great combat power but lacked attentiveness. Some cultivators had relatively weak combat power but were very attentive, always able to discover small details. No matter which type, both would be reflected in this task. Having both was naturally the best, and the scores would likely be the highest. Moreover, the point difference for the giant beasts was so huge, up to 100,000 times, which was to create a gap between the top geniuses and the ordinary geniuses. The top geniuses might not even need to kill giant beasts along the way, as long as they could defeat the leader giant beast in the end to obtain a huge number of points. While the ordinary geniuses, no matter how many giant beasts they killed along the way, the points might still not match the top genius's final battle. Lin Mohan was also checking the task information.
Xiaoyu, don't you think this level division method is different from the Great World, but rather similar to instances?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Indeed, it's similar. Actually, when I was on the battlefield, I had this doubt several times.
Lin Mohan's eyes curved like willow leaves.
What are your thoughts, Xiaoyu?
Lin Moyu shook his head.
Based on the information we have now, I can only say that our small world was a bit special. But I can't analyze the deeper reasons.
Lin Mohan made an acknowledging sound.
My master also said our small world was different. I'll leave this matter to you. I'm too lazy to think about it.
Lin Moyu nodded.
Okay, I'll investigate it thoroughly. If there are any problems, Sister can come and break them with a single sword.
Lin Mohan glared at him.
You've gotten cocky, daring to make fun of me.
Lin Moyu laughed mischievously but didn't continue the banter. The two came to the central square, where almost all the seed contestants had already gathered, waiting for the task to officially begin. The cultivators from the 4 major star domains basically gathered together. The cultivators from the Divine City also gathered together, staying relatively close to those from the 4 major star domains. The War God Hall maintained its unique arrogance, keeping its distance from the crowd. At the other end, 3 people stood side by side. One of them was Dongfang Zhe, who had wanted to spar with Lin Moyu that day. When Lin Moyu looked over, Dongfang Zhe also happened to look over, and their gazes met in midair. He smiled and nodded at Lin Moyu, who nodded back slightly. Dongfang Zhe had regained his composure, no longer as arrogant as that day. It was as if that day's events had never happened. However, Dongfang Zhe's innate arrogance still existed. He was a top genius in the Divine City, and even within the Divine City, his status was not low. From the position he stood, it could be seen that he did not stand together with the other cultivators from the Divine City. The ones standing side by side with Dongfang Zhe were also two little god sovereigns from the Divine City. Lin Moyu said in a low voice,
"The hierarchy in the Divine City is quite strict.
Lin Mohan laughed lightly.
It's the same everywhere. Xiaoyu, don't tell me you haven't figured it out after all this time."
Lin Moyu chose not to respond, as his sister loved to tease him. The central square gradually became quiet, and everyone had made their preparations. The crowd had also adapted to the realm suppressed by the formation. After all, the 4-star domain competition also required realm suppression, so they understood. As the task approached, the atmosphere inevitably became tense. Half an hour later, the formation suddenly shot out a cluster of golden light, which exploded in the air like fireworks, dyeing the entire island in a golden color. It was as if a certain passage had been opened, and heart-pounding beast roars came from all directions. Thousands of golden light paths formed in the sky above. Everyone clearly understood that each person had to choose one of the golden light paths to leave the island. The Ring Mountain continent was a standard circle, and since Fireseed Island was located at the center of the continent, no matter which direction one left from, the distance to exit the Ring Mountain continent would be the same. However, the same distance did not mean the same level of danger. The number of giant beasts along the way, their strength levels, and even the number of tokens would not be uniform. When choosing the golden light path, one was essentially gambling on luck. Some people took out a set of copper coin-like magic treasures and began divination, while others used secret techniques, calculating with their fingers. Chu Xiong looked at Zhuang Bai.
"Old Zhuang, let's see what you've got."
Zhuang Bai smiled slightly and took out a jade eyeball, pressing it against Chu Xiong's forehead. Immediately, a third eye appeared on Chu Xiong's forehead. Chu Xiong closed his eyes tightly, using this newly grown third eye to look towards the sky. Soon, he locked onto one of the golden light paths. With a swipe of his hand, he removed the third eye from his forehead and returned it to Zhuang Bai, saying in a low voice,
"I'm going."
Zhuang Bai nodded.
"Be careful. Don't worry."
Chu Xiong's burly body suddenly leapt up, directly jumping onto the golden light path he had chosen. The moment he entered the golden light path, his entire body transformed into a stream of light and disappeared. Zhuang Bai pressed the jade eyeball against his own forehead and quickly locked onto another golden light path. Then he leapt into the path and vanished. Su Jianxing took out a bow and arrow, shooting an arrow into the sky. The arrow spun in the air, then automatically adjusted its direction, flying towards one of the golden light paths. Su Jianxing didn't hesitate, directly leaping up and following the arrow into the golden light path. Everyone displayed their secret techniques, using different methods to find a suitable golden light path for themselves. But more people simply chose one at random. These people either had confidence in their own strength or didn't know which one to choose, so they just picked one randomly. One by one, people left the central square, and fewer remained. Lin Moyu was not in a hurry, as the task did not have a time requirement. Whether one left early or late made no difference. Lin Moyu said,
"Sister, are you going to choose randomly?"
Lin Mohan said,
"Do you think your elder sister is that brainless?"
Lin Moyu was speechless. Lin Mohan was clearly saying this on purpose, indirectly calling him brainless, because he himself was planning to choose randomly. Lin Mohan's beautiful eyes closed slightly, and she looked up at the sky, revealing her long, pure white neck, like a proud and beautiful white swan. A small sword appeared between her brows, flying out and circling in the air a few times before quickly locking onto one path. Lin Mohan had made her choice and instructed,
"Xiaoyu, be careful."
Lin Moyu nodded,
You too, sister.
Lin Mohan's jade foot stamped on the ground, and her entire body floated up like a fairy, landing gracefully on the golden light path she had chosen. Watching Lin Mohan leave, Lin Moyu said indifferently,
Looks like I can't choose randomly, or I'll really be brainless.
Lin Moyu was originally planning to choose randomly, as it didn't make much difference to him which path he took. But after being called brainless by Lin Mohan, if he still chose randomly, he would truly be brainless. He naturally had his own method, and it was more direct and effective than others. He pointed his finger at the sky. Eternal star spell, undead gaze, undying flames blazed, and a giant undead eye appeared in the sky, tens of thousands of meters in size. Lin Moyu's consciousness merged with the undead eye, and he carefully observed the golden light paths. 1493 1493. Chapter 1493. Since we aim for first place, let's go big. Lin Moyu controlled the power of his spell. Otherwise, he could have summoned an undead eye tens of thousands of meters in size. Now was not the time to face an enemy, so there was no need to do so. An undead eye of 10,000 meters was already large enough. Using the undead eye, Lin Moyu connected to the undead vision and scanned the surroundings. From the sky, he saw countless soul flames in the distance. In some directions, the number of soul flames was fewer, while in others, there were more. Each soul flame represented a giant beast. The more soul flames, the more giant beasts. After scanning the surroundings with the undead eye, Lin Moyu chose the direction with the most giant beasts and stepped onto one of the golden light paths. The golden light path only provided a general direction. The path would inevitably change along the way. With over 100 people choosing directions, there would inevitably be overlaps, and due to various reasons, directions would diverge, leading to encounters. Otherwise, the rules wouldn't include a clause stating that if people met, they must separate within a minute without any communication. This rule was essentially to ensure that everyone relied on themselves, without any external help. The golden light path carried Lin Moyu away from Fireseed Island, landing him on a small island about 100 kilometers away. Calling it a small island was an exaggeration. It was just a reef barely 5 meters in diameter. Lin Moyu looked around and saw towering mountains several hundred meters away. The mountains were densely forested, with constant beast roars echoing. Looking further, there were countless mountains, and some small islands were faintly visible. The mountains were both obstacles and landmarks. As long as he followed the mountains, he wouldn't get lost. Lin Moyu had two choices: either follow the mountains or travel directly across the ocean. Traveling across the ocean would avoid the giant beasts in the mountains and be faster without the need to climb mountains. However, this would significantly reduce the number of giant beasts he could kill, resulting in fewer points. Lin Moyu believed that any cultivator with ambition wouldn't choose this path. Moreover, was this path really safe? There were also many giant beasts in the ocean, and without the ability to fly, it wasn't necessarily safer. Lin Moyu lightly leaped, covering several hundred meters, leaving the reef and entering the first mountain. His body felt heavy again, and more pressure came out of nowhere. He knew he had officially entered the task area. The suppression here was stronger. Not only could he not fly, but he couldn't jump too high either. Otherwise, with the strength of a cultivator, they could easily leap over a 1,000-meter mountain. Now, he couldn't jump too high, and his speed was also limited.
They really didn't leave any loopholes.
Lin Moyu thought to himself, not doubting the strictness of the Human Emperor Network. A prompt from the Human Emperor Network sounded in his ear. The task leaderboard is now open. Please check it yourself. Lin Moyu connected to the Human Emperor Network and opened the task leaderboard. A smile appeared on his lips.
Someone has already started.
The task leaderboard already showed some scores, with Chu Xiong currently in first place with 2 points, indicating he had killed 2 ordinary giant beasts. Chu Xiong was a little god sovereign, and even with his power suppressed to the first rank of the God King realm, his combat strength remained formidable. Fighting across levels was no problem for him, and ordinary giant beasts were nothing to him. The second place was Qing Fei, a little god sovereign from the Azure Dragon Star domain with 1 point. She had a somewhat androgynous appearance, didn't talk much, and was very reserved, but her strength was exceptional. The third place was Dongfang Zhe, also with 1 point. Apart from these three, no one else had scored yet. The task had just begun, so the current scores were not significant. While Lin Moyu was checking the task leaderboard, someone suddenly surpassed Chu Xiong, gaining 5 points and taking the first place. It was Shui Jilan from the Black Tortoise Star domain, also a little god sovereign. In Lin Moyu's impression, Shui Jilan was of average strength among the little god sovereigns. Moreover, the Black Tortoise Star domain was not known for its offensive capabilities, so suddenly gaining 5 points at once indicated she had killed 5 ordinary giant beasts simultaneously. After a brief thought, Lin Moyu understood what had happened. The Black Tortoise Star domain cultivators indeed had the weakest offensive capabilities among the 4-star domains, but this didn't mean their attacks were truly weak. To compensate for the lack of offensive power in their laws, the Black Tortoise Star domain had devised many methods. For example, magic treasures and puppets. Lin Moyu believed Shui Jilan had used puppets. Puppets were considered a type of magic treasure. While God King Realm puppets were restricted, Peak True God Realm puppets were not. With enough Peak True God Realm puppets, it was indeed possible to kill 5 giant beasts simultaneously.
It seems this rule benefits cultivators skilled in puppet manipulation. Then I should start too.
Looking up at the 1,000-meter-high mountain, Lin Moyu's thoughts moved, and skeleton warriors appeared around him. Both his realm and spells were suppressed. Originally, with his 4th-rank God King realm, the summoned skeleton warriors had the combat strength of the 6th-rank God King realm. Now, the combat strength of the skeleton warriors had reverted to the 3rd-rank God King realm, the same as when he had just broken through to the God King realm.
3rd-rank God King realm is enough.
The skeleton warriors charged into the forest like wolves and tigers. Under the undead vision, the giant beasts hidden in the forest had nowhere to hide, each one being quickly found and killed. Not only the giant beasts in the forest, but Lin Moyu also didn't spare the giant beasts in the ocean. A large number of skeleton warriors submerged into the ocean, starting to kill the water-dwelling giant beasts. Since he aimed for first place, he would go big and leave no room for others to speak. The skeleton warriors soon encountered the giant beasts in the forest, killing them instantly. Killed an ordinary giant beast, gained 1 point. Killed an ordinary giant beast, gained 1 point. The prompts from the Human Emperor Network kept sounding, and Lin Moyu's points began to rise rapidly. In no time, Lin Moyu's points surpassed the first place, leading by a wide margin. Lin Moyu leisurely walked into the forest, step by step heading towards the mountaintop, preparing to cross the mountains. Someone was watching the task leaderboard and suddenly noticed Lin Moyu's points skyrocketing, showing expressions of disbelief.
How is it possible? How can his points increase so quickly? Is there a bug in the Human Emperor Network? This is impossible. Damn it, I worked so hard to get 1 point. What the hell did this guy do? We're all at the 1st rank of the God King realm. How can the gap be so big?
In another part of the forest, Dongfang Zhe had just finished a fierce battle, with the corpse of a giant beast lying in front of him. This giant beast was obviously larger than the others, with a stronger aura, reaching the 2nd rank of the God King realm. It was an elite giant beast worth 10 points. Dongfang Zhe clapped his hands, a flash of arrogance in his eyes.
An elite giant beast, nothing special.
He opened the task leaderboard to check his points. In his view, gaining 10 points at once would surely place him high in the rankings. Indeed, Dongfang Zhe saw his ranking 2nd place, a very good position. Then he saw Lin Moyu in 1st place.
Lin Moyu, this guy is ranked above me.
His gaze shifted to the right, and his eyes widened in shock.
Impossible.
Barra diagonal en barra diagonal. 1494, 1494. Chapter 1494. Say it and do it. Break it with one sword. Dongfang Zhe looked at Lin Moyu's score, feeling somewhat lost.
Impossible. How is this possible?
His reaction was greater than anyone else's because his pride did not allow him to be inferior to others. Lin Moyu's score was 1. Lin Moyu 128 points. 2. Dongfang Zhe 16 points. 3. Shui Jilan 12 points. The cultivators had already started to take action, beginning to kill giant beasts and earn points. The points were changing every moment, and everyone was closely watching their scores. Suddenly, a massive sword intent soared into the sky. Dongfang Zhe abruptly turned his head to look into the distance and saw a 7-colored giant sword appearing in the sky. The giant sword was like a rainbow, dazzling and colorful, with orchids blooming on the blade, combining strength and softness. Extremely beautiful. Dongfang Zhe felt as if he had been cut by the sword energy, his skin tingling with pain.
Slash!
A delicate shout echoed through the sky. The giant sword slashed down, and the sword intent exploded, sweeping across tens of thousands of miles. Almost all the cultivators felt the overwhelming sword intent, their faces changing dramatically.
It's Fairy Han, so powerful. The #1 genius of the White Tiger Star domain, inheriting the 9 Heavens Orchid Sword from Sword Orchid God Sovereign, Fairy Han is too strong. Such fierce attacks have already surpassed those of the Azure Dragon Star domain. Let's see if the people from the Azure Dragon Star domain dare to claim they are the best in attacks in the future.
Some were terrified, while others were excited. Dongfang Zhe saw the task leaderboard change again. Lin Mohan's name shot up, surpassing him and reaching second place on the task leaderboard. Lin Mohan, 60 points.
Dongfang was shocked.
Just one sword, and she got 60 points. How is that possible? Did she kill all the giant beasts in the entire mountain forest with one sword?
Dongfang Zhe muttered to himself. Lin Mohan's location was not far from him. He could even see the high mountain where Lin Mohan was. After one sword, something even more shocking happened. The high mountain where Lin Mohan was located collapsed with a roar. Lin Mohan not only killed a large number of giant beasts with one sword but also shattered the high mountain blocking her path. As she said, no matter what was in her way, she would break it with one sword. She said it and did it, not only killing beasts but also destroying mountains. Dongfang Zhe stared blankly at the collapsing mountain, then saw a heroic figure walking to the top of the collapsed mountain and disappearing on the other side. No matter how much he didn't want to believe it, the facts were the facts. Dongfang Zhe was severely shaken, and his original pride vanished. He realized that if that sword had been aimed at him, he wouldn't have been able to block it at all. Even if he mobilized part of the power of the Lost Star River, he could at most ensure he wouldn't die, but severe injuries would be inevitable. While he was in a daze, Lin Moyu's score increased again. In fact, Lin Moyu's score was increasing every moment, never stopping. At this moment, Lin Moyu's score had already reached 160 points, leading Lin Mohan by a full 100 points. Such a terrifying rate of score increase made many people give up the idea of competing for first place. Lin Moyu stood on a 1,000-meter-high mountain, looking into the distance. He saw the 9 Heavens Orchid Sword and the collapsed mountain. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly, revealing a smile.
As expected of my sister, she says it and does it.
No matter what was in her way, she would break it with one sword. Lin Mohan had proven her words, saying it and doing it. Lin Moyu watched for a moment, then turned to look at his own battlefield. Killed an elite giant beast, gained 10 points. An elite giant beast fell under the siege of the skeleton god warriors, unwillingly. His body was covered in scars, looking miserable. An elite giant beast was equivalent to a second-rank god king, but its vitality was much stronger than that of an ordinary giant beast. Originally, a single skeleton god warrior could have dealt with it, but Lin Moyu didn't want to waste time, so he had a dozen skeleton god warriors attack together, solving the battle in just a few seconds. After it fell, a golden token dropped out, falling to the ground. Lin Moyu reached out and summoned the golden token into his hand. The token emitted a golden light, and within 2 seconds of Lin Moyu holding it, the token turned into a yellow light and disappeared. Lin Moyu's score increased by 10 points.
Tokens can be found not only in corners but also on giant beasts. Ordinary giant beasts drop silver tokens, elite giant beasts drop golden tokens. Then the leader level and boss level giant beasts must drop white jade tokens and purple jade tokens. It's not just similar to instances, it's exactly the same.
Lin Moyu increasingly felt that his small world was extraordinary and unusual. The secret realms, battlefields, and various mysterious areas of the great world seemed to all have shadows of the small world. At first, he thought the small world had inherited some rules from the great world. After all, the gap between the small world and the great world was enormous. But later, he gradually realized that this was not the case. It wasn't that the small world resembled the great world. Rather, the great world resembled the small world. This made him certain of the small world's uniqueness. As the master of the world, although he had left it, he still had the obligation to figure this out. However, to figure this out, he first needed the corresponding strength. According to Lin Moyu's analysis, the God-Sovereign realm might not be enough. There were God-Sovereigns outside the small world, but did they dare to enter? Antares must be in the other shore realm, but he seemed to be trapped inside, unable to escape for the time being. To uncover the secrets of the small world, one must at least reach the other shore realm. Lin Moyu put away his thoughts and crossed the first high mountain, heading towards another. Outside the Ring Mountain continent, a grand palace suddenly appeared in the starry sky. The palace was ancient and majestic, exuding an aura of desolation. This palace was a treasure and, moreover, a treasure of the other shore realm. On the small square in front of the palace, 3 people sat around a delicate tea table. Madame Yu gently lifted her sleeve, revealing her fair wrist, and elegantly brewed tea. The fragrance of the tea wafted through the starry sky, turning into threads of laws, spreading out. Without any medium of transmission, the tea fragrance could directly enter the soul. Just a whiff could clear one's soul.
Lord Hao, old Lin, try the Dao tea that Meng Yao recently acquired.
Madame Yu's voice was very pleasant. Just listening to her speak was a great enjoyment. The old Lin she mentioned was the old man who had projected himself to issue the task on the Ring Mountain continent. Old Lin smiled as he took the teacup handed to him by Madame Yu.
The Dao tea that Meng Yao acquired is naturally excellent.
Madame Yu smiled.
Then please guess where this Dao tea comes from, old Lin.
Lord Hao laughed heartily.
Old Lin, you've fallen into Meng Yao's trap. She's been waiting for you to say that.
Old Lin sniffed the tea fragrance and said lightly,
How does Lord Hao know that this old man didn't jump in willingly?
Lord Hao laughed.
Old Lin, you still care about your face. Then please tell us where this Dao tea comes from.
Old Lin first sniffed, then took a sip, and after a dozen seconds he slowly said,
As far as I know, there are 18 Dao tea trees distributed throughout the great world. 12 of these Dao tea trees have distinct characteristics, impossible to hide from me. This tea must be from one of the remaining 6. Of the 6 Dao tea trees, I have collected from 5. Only the Beluyu soul tea from the lost ancient land I have never tasted.
As he said this, old Lin looked at Madame Yu with a smile. Madame Yu smiled.
I knew I couldn't hide it from you, old Lin. When it comes to tea tasting, who in the great world can compare to you?
Old Lin shook his head.
No, there is one person who knows more about tea than I do.
Madame Yu disagreed.
The spirit of the Dao tea doesn't count. We're only talking about humans.
Old Lin didn't hold back.
Then I am indeed the best among humans.
Lord Hao sipped his tea, his gaze falling on the Ring Mountain continent. Nothing that happened on the Ring Mountain continent could escape his eyes.
The young ones this time seem quite good.
1495 1495 Chapter 1495 Changing Strategy, Searching for Leader-Level Beasts. Upon hearing the words of the sacred Lord Hao, Lin Lao and Madame Yu also turned their attention to the Ring Mountain continent. They happened to see Lin Mohan slicing through a mountain with a single sword, killing most of the giant beasts within. scaring the remaining beasts into trembling and not daring to move. Lin Lao's eyes showed approval.
This girl is quite good.
Madame Yu smiled and said,
She is the direct disciple of the Sword Orchid God Sovereign and has fully inherited the Sword Orchid God Sovereign's teachings.
Lin Lao clearly recognized the Sword Orchid God Sovereign.
So she is the direct disciple of Sword Orchid. She should be close to succeeding, right?
Madame Yu nodded.
Very close. If fast, within half a year. If slow, within 5 years, she will officially step into the other shore.
Lin Lao smiled.
Not bad, not bad. By then, our human race will have another expert in the other shore.
Madame Yu said,
Not just one. The eldest disciple of the sacred Lord Hao is also half a step into the other shore and should break through within the next few years.
Lin Lao's eyes flashed with brilliance.
Sacred Lord Hao, congratulations.
Sacred Lord Hao was not modest at all.
Chiwu achieving the other shore is indeed worth celebrating for the human race.
Madame Yu looked at the Ring Mountain continent, smiling.
Sacred Lord Hao, who do you think will win the 4-star domain competition this time?
Sacred Lord Hao said lightly.
Just look at the leaderboard.
Leaderboard. Lin Moyu was far ahead with 186 points. The second place, Lin Mohan, had only 60 points. As for the third place, Dongfang Zhe, he had only 18 points. The gap was simply too large. Lin Lao's pupils contracted.
How did this little guy do it?
He quickly locked onto Lin Moyu on the Ring Mountain continent and found that Lin Moyu was leisurely strolling, with a large number of skeleton god warriors sweeping through the giant beasts in the mountains or slaughtering them in the ocean. Lin Moyu didn't need to do anything. His points just kept rising rapidly. Lin Lao watched for a few seconds before speaking.
Is this his spell?
Sacred Lord Hao nodded.
Yes, it's his summoning.
Lin Lao sighed.
Summon creatures at the 3rd rank of the God King realm, and in such large numbers, are stronger than the summoning techniques in the Black Tortoise Star domain. If his summoned creatures can improve with his realm, that would be incredible.
Sacred Lord Hao smiled.
This is just the weakest of his many summoned creatures.
Lin Lao's eyes widened.
The weakest? How strong is the strongest?
Madame Yu was also very curious and looked at Sacred Lord Hao. She was extremely curious about Lin Moyu. However, because Lin Moyu was under the protection of Sacred Lord Hao, she couldn't inquire directly or even investigate secretly. Sacred Lord Hao sipped his tea and spoke slowly.
His strongest summoned creature should be able to reach the level of a minor god sovereign. Minor god sovereign? Isn't that a bit exaggerated?
Lin Lao seemed incredulous. Not only did he not believe it, but Madame Yu also found it hard to believe. She said softly,
His soul is already at the other shore. As long as he doesn't die, he will definitely step into the other shore in the future. But with his current cultivation, his combat power seems a bit too exaggerated.
Lin Lao's hand holding the teacup trembled.
Meng Yao said his soul is already at the other shore?
Madame Yu nodded, confirming her words. Lin Lao found it hard to believe.
A god king with an other shore soul. How can such an unreasonable thing exist?
Sacred Lord Hao smiled.
If it exists, it is reasonable. Not long ago, I cooperated with this child to clear out a batch of spies from various races. To cooperate with that operation, the demons, golden eagles, and 3 silvers formed a coalition to encircle and kill him. This child not only killed the coalition, but also killed 3 god sovereigns.
Lin Lao and Madame Yu were both speechless. After a long silence, Madame Yu sighed.
I always thought this child's soul was extremely strong, but I didn't expect his combat power to be so formidable.
Lin Lao also sighed.
A god king slaying god sovereigns is enough to rival the war god.
Sacred Lord Hao's words were even more shocking.
I think this child has the potential to surpass the other shore.
The words,
surpass the other shore,
were like thunder, exploding in the souls of Lin Lao and Madame Yu. Only those who had already stepped into the other shore knew the meaning of surpassing the other shore. The two of them never expected that Sacred Lord How would have such high hopes for Lin Moyu. Madame Yu had always thought that Sacred Lord How merely regarded Lin Moyu as an excellent junior. She never imagined he had such expectations for him. Lin Moyu treated the Ring Mountain continent as his own backyard. Various restrictions and realm suppressions were meaningless to him. Although he was young, compared to god kings and god sovereigns who were hundreds or thousands of years old, the gap was too large. However, the dangers he had experienced far exceeded those of these god kings and god sovereigns. In Lin Moyu's view, these god kings and god sovereigns lived too comfortably, protected too well by the human race. Places like the Ring Mountain continent, seen as trials by others, were simply paradises for him. The skeleton god warriors rampaged through the mountains, encountering no resistance. His points soared, far ahead of the others. In just a few days, Lin Moyu's points had already reached over 3,000. This was a despairing score. The second place, Lin Mohan, had less than 800 points at this moment. Lin Mohan's powerful attacks with the Nine Heavens Orchid Sword couldn't be used indefinitely. After 3 uses, she needed to rest and recover, gradually reducing her efficiency. The third place was once again occupied by Shui Zhilan from the Black Tortoise Star domain, with a score of 550. Despite the realm suppression, her numerous puppets gave her a significant advantage. Dongfang Zhe was right behind her, also with a score exceeding 500, not far behind. Dongfang Zhe gritted his teeth, not giving up.
Maybe Lin Moyu has a large number of puppets. Maybe his spells are just suited for group battles. I still have a chance. I just need to find a leader-level giant beast. One leader-level giant beast is worth 100,000 points. If I can also get a purple jade token, that's another 100,000 points. If I can find just one, it would be worth him killing 100,000 or even 200,000 ordinary giant beasts. If I can find 2.
Thinking this, Dongfang Zhe's momentum rose again. He began to speed up, no longer entangling with ordinary giant beasts, searching for leader-level giant beasts. He couldn't match Lin Moyu's speed in killing giant beasts, so if he wanted to take first place, he had to find another way. Many others had the same idea. Several lagging minor god sovereigns also realized this. They understood that using normal methods they couldn't catch up to Lin Moyu, not even Lin Mohan. They had to resort to unconventional means. Lin Mohan, after resting, naturally opened the task leaderboard and saw Lin Moyu far ahead. A bright smile spread across her beautiful face.
My little brother is truly amazing.
In the palace in the starry sky, Lin Lao and Madame Yu were no longer paying attention to Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu's performance was simply too boring. He didn't even need to lift a finger. Relying on his skeletons alone, he left everyone else in the dust. Lin Lao said,
It's still more interesting to watch this girl, Lin Mohan. Her understanding of the Nine Heavens Orchid Sword has reached a very deep level.
Madame Yu agreed.
The Nine Heavens Orchid Sword is a powerful inheritance from ancient times, but it's very difficult to cultivate and requires special talent. I wonder where the Sword Orchid God Sovereign found this girl who meets the requirements of the Nine Heavens Orchid Sword.
Lin Lao said,
Although it seems Lin Moyu is leading, if they meet in the 4-star domain competition, I think Lin Moyu might not be a match for this girl.
Sacred Lord How shook his head and smiled.
If Lin Mohan meets Lin Moyu, she will likely concede.
The two of them looked at Sacred Lord How in unison, puzzled. Sacred Lord How didn't keep them in suspense.
Lin Mohan is Lin Moyu's elder sister.
1496 1496. Chapter 1496. Lin Moyu's small world is terrifying. The Sacred Lord How thoroughly enjoyed the astonished expressions of the two, sipping his tea with a smile, finding the tea exceptionally sweet. Madame Yu, despite her surprise, gave the Sacred Lord How a flirtatious glance.
Really, after all these years, your tastes haven't changed a bit. You still love seeing people surprised.
The Sacred Lord How laughed heartily.
Don't you find it amusing?
Lin Lao was currently checking the information of the two on the Human Emperor network. As a top-tier existence in the human race, his permissions were very high. He muttered to himself,
Both of them come from a small world. Sword Orchid God Sovereign opened a spatial passage from the small world and brought Lin Mohan out. Lin Moyu, on the other hand, reached the super god realm on his own and entered the great world. At that time, it was the Night Wind God Sovereign who received him. Outside that small world, there were various god sovereigns from different races guarding.
Lin Lao noticed something unusual from the information on the Human Emperor network and murmured,
There's something wrong with this small world, something very wrong.
His words piqued Madame Yu's interest, and she immediately checked all the information related to the two. Madame Yu also sensed something amiss and looked at the Sacred Lord Hao.
Sacred Lord, you must know about this, right?
She believed the Sacred Lord Hao must have noticed something unusual long ago. The Sacred Lord Hao nodded.
Of course, I know. That world is indeed very strange.
Lin Lao said,
A small world that can nurture geniuses like Lin Moyu and Lin Mohan must have a big secret. If we can uncover this secret, it might greatly benefit our human race.
Madame Yu was clearly tempted.
Sacred Lord, since you know, you must have investigated it, right?
The Sacred Lord Hao shook his head.
I thought about it but didn't dare.
Didn't dare. The two were taken aback. What did he mean by
Didn't dare?
Was there anything in this world that the Sacred Lord Hao didn't dare to do? Among the human race, the Sacred Lord Hao was a top-tier powerhouse, with very few who could surpass him. In the great world, the Sacred Lord Hao was equally formidable. He dared to charge into the holy land of the Buddha race alone, forcing them to bow their heads and admit their mistakes. Madame, you couldn't think of anything that the Sacred Lord Hao wouldn't dare to do. The Sacred Lord Hao sighed.
I went to that small world but didn't dare to truly enter. If I had really gone in, I feared I wouldn't be able to come back.
Lin Lao didn't believe it.
A mere small world, you could destroy it with a flick of your finger. How could it trap you?
The Sacred Lord Hao shook his head.
Lin Lao, when have you ever known me to speak nonsense?
Madame Yu suddenly thought of something and exclaimed.
Could it be that there's...
She couldn't think of any other possibility and didn't dare to say it out loud. She quickly changed her words.
But that's impossible. Didn't they leave long ago?
At this moment, Lin Lao's expression also became serious, clearly thinking of what Madame Yu had said. The Sacred Lord Hao said in a low voice,
1,000 years ago, people came out of that small world, and it wasn't just one person, it was an entire race, a whole million people.
Lin Lao frowned.
An entire race entering the great world, how come I've never heard of this?
The Sacred Lord Hao said,
At that time, my third disciple, Shu Tian, found it suspicious and brought them in, arranging a life-star system for them and forbidding anyone from approaching. Later, I went there and found that many of these people had extremely high aptitudes, with nearly half of them being geniuses. The top few almost made me want to take them as disciples.
Lin Lao was once again astonished. He knew how high the Sacred Lord Hao's standards were. Getting him to take someone as a disciple was harder than ascending to the heavens. Madame Yu whispered,
With them gone, wouldn't that small world be doomed?
The fate of a small world was closely tied to the beings within it. If all the beings left, the small world would basically be destroyed. The Sacred Lord Hao nodded.
I thought the same at the time, so I went to check on the small world. It did seem heavily damaged, but I felt that its internal vitality had become even more vigorous. It felt like clearing out a batch of tumors, breaking and then rebuilding. At that time, I wanted to go in and see for myself, but I received a warning before I even got close. After that, I returned and found that those who had come out of the small world had all disappeared. There were no traces left. They vanished completely. Even using causal treasures, I couldn't trace them, as if they had never existed. When I left, I set up a star-locking formation. The formation was intact, but the people were gone.
Lin Lao and Madame Yu felt like they were listening to a bizarre story. The powerful sacred lord Hao was actually scared off by a warning. The people he had trapped with the star-locking formation were taken away without a sound, and all traces were erased. They knew how terrifying such methods were. Erasing causality was beyond their capabilities. Madam, you asked.
So, even you don't know the specifics of that small world?
The sacred lord Hao took a sip of tea, confirming her suspicion. Lin Lao frowned.
Then how did the Sword Orchid God Sovereign bring someone out from there?
The sacred lord Hao replied.
I later asked the Sword Orchid God Sovereign. She said she received a warning at the time. A dragon elder from the small world warned her to take good care of Lin Mohan. How is this related to the dragon race again?
Lin Lao felt the story was getting more convoluted. The sacred lord Hao continued.
I later went to the dragon race and learned a secret. 10,000 years ago, the dragon race experienced some unfortunate events. A dragon with the bloodline of a dragon god was taken away. If I'm not mistaken, the dragon in that small world is the one taken from the dragon race.
Taking away a dragon at the other shore realm, who could do that from the dragon race, especially one with the bloodline of a dragon god? Lin Lao and Madam, you realized that only an existence of that level could accomplish such a feat. After finishing his story, the sacred lord Hao concluded.
In any case, the secret of that small world is beyond our reach. I don't even want to inquire about the specifics of the small world. Sometimes, knowing too much can be dangerous. The Sword Orchid God Sovereign thinks the same way, so she never asks Lin Mohan about the small world. I suspect it might be related to ancient times.
Madam, you sighed.
Yes, some things are better left unknown.
Lin Lao shifted his attention from the sacred lord Hao to Lin Moyu and Lin Mohan on the Ring Mountain continent.
You hope these two youngsters can give you answers, don't you?
The sacred lord Hao, tired from talking, took a big sip of tea.
Indeed, I have that hope. Then let's wait and see.
On the Ring Mountain continent, time passed day by day. Everyone had been walking for a long time, crossing one mountain forest after another. The Ring Mountain continent had a diameter of 1,000,000 kilometers and a radius of 500,000 kilometers. Excluding the distance from Fireseed Island, each person would have to travel at least 400,000 kilometers in a straight line. Without restrictions, 400,000 kilometers would be nothing, a blink of an eye. But now, each person had to traverse mountains and forests like ordinary people, constantly fighting along the way, which would take them several months. Currently, the fastest travelers were the little god sovereigns led by Dongfang Zhe. They tried to avoid fighting ordinary giant beasts as much as possible. Unless unavoidable, they generally didn't engage. Dongfang Zhe was searching for leader-level giant beasts, but they were hard to find. A month had passed, and he hadn't found any. He had encountered several boss-level giant beasts, which brought him thousands of points. But thousands of points were just a drop in the bucket, and the gap with Lin Moyu was widening. 1497, 1497. Chapter 1497. Every era has its despair-inducing individuals. The rankings on the task leaderboard were like needles, piercing the hearts of every genius. Lin Moyu was far ahead, leaving everyone else in the dust. In the first few days, there was still some hope, but after a month, that hope had become extremely faint. 1. Lin Moyu, 28,382 points. 2. Lin Mohan, 8,621 points. 3. Dongfang Zhe, 3,312 points. 4. Zhuang Bai, 3,121 points. 5. Wei Bowen, 3,099 points. In the past month, Lin Moyu and Lin Mohan had firmly held the top two positions. The rankings below them kept changing. In the first 10 days, Shui Zhilan from the Black Tortoise Star domain had been neck and neck with Dongfang Zhe, constantly vying for third place. Later, for some unknown reason, Shui Zhilan's efficiency drastically decreased, and her scoring speed slowed down, causing her to drop out of the top 10. Just when Dongfang Zhe thought his third place was secure, Zhuang Bai and Wei Bowen emerged. With everyone's realms suppressed to the first rank of the God King realm, Dongfangzhe's advantage, though present, was not significant.
You have your trump cards, and I naturally have mine.
Dongfangzhe put away the task leaderboard.
There's still time. We've only covered about 1/3 of the journey. The remaining 2/3 are the key. If I'm not mistaken, leader-level and boss-level giant beasts will definitely appear. If I can kill a leader-level giant beast, I can surpass Lin Moyu and become first. Leader-level giant beasts won't be easy to kill, but for me, it shouldn't be too difficult. Lin Mohan's sword is powerful, but it shouldn't be enough to kill a leader-level giant beast. I don't know Lin Moyu's methods, but his realm is only at the 3rd rank of the God King realm, and his methods seem to be more suited for group attacks, not necessarily for killing leader-level giant beasts. I still have a chance.
Dongfangzhe had his own calculations. Over the past month, he had witnessed Lin Mohan's repeated sword strikes and had a good understanding of her capabilities. Moreover, he had observed Lin Moyu's scoring method. Most of the time, his points increased by 1 point at a time. This indicated that Lin Moyu's points were mostly obtained from ordinary giant beasts. From this, Dongfangzhe deduced that Lin Moyu had strong group-killing abilities. In this aspect, he had to admit that he was not as good as Lin Moyu at the same realm. However, he was still a little god sovereign, and one who had half a foot in the Law Star River. In terms of instantaneous explosive power, he believed he could crush Lin Moyu. As for Zhuang Bai and Wei Bowen, who had emerged later, Dongfangzhe didn't take them seriously. His goal was to surpass Lin Mohan and Lin Moyu, not to compete for 3rd place. The current rankings were just temporary. Lin Moyu stood on a mountaintop, looking into the distance. As far as his eyes could see, there were endless mountains. Each mountain looked similar, making it easy to lose direction.
We've covered about 1/3 of the journey. The path I chose has many giant beasts, but it seems there are no leader-level or boss-level giant beasts. Maybe I should change direction. Although my points are far ahead now, it's actually an illusion. If someone kills a leader-level giant beast, they can surpass me.
Lin Moyu roughly calculated that if he continued along this path until the end, his points could double, reaching about 90,000 to 100,000 points. This was actually less than the points from killing a single leader-level giant beast. In the sky, the 10,000-meter undead eye appeared again, carrying the undying flames, gazing into the distance. Through the undead vision, Lin Moyu saw the path behind him. Although he hadn't seen everything clearly, he had a general idea. The path he chose had the most giant beasts in all directions. But there was also a problem. There were no leader-level or boss-level giant beasts. Lin Moyu realized this halfway through and decided to change direction. The undead eye slowly rotated in the sky, searching for leader-level and boss-level giant beasts. In the undead vision, blazing soul flames kept flickering. The stronger the soul flame, the stronger the giant beast. The undead vision could also distinguish between the soul flames of giant beasts and cultivators, as there was a fundamental difference between the two. After a month, the 100 cultivators had completely dispersed, making it difficult to encounter each other again. The undead eye searched for a long time but did not find any boss-level giant beasts. However, it did find a few leader-level giant beasts, though they were far apart from each other. Lin Moyu chose the nearest leader-level giant beast and changed his direction. The tea party in front of the palace continued. A month was just a blink of an eye for beings in the other shore realm. Because of the Sacred Lord House high expectations for Lin Moyu, both Lin Lao and Madame Yu were paying close attention to him. They saw Lin Moyu suddenly stop and then change direction. Lin Lao, following Lin Moyu's direction, said in a low voice,
"He's heading towards the location of a leader-level giant beast."
Madame Yu lightly opened her mouth.
He initially chose the golden light path with the most giant beasts, and now he suddenly changed direction. It seems he has a way to judge the number and strength of the giant beasts.
Lin Lao said,
If what the Sacred Lord House said is true, and his summoned creatures have the combat strength of a little god sovereign, Then leader level and ordinary giant beasts would be no different to him. Even boss level giant beasts could be easily killed, and he has a way to find them. TSK, the other little guys are going to be completely desperate. Should I add some spice to increase the difficulty for him?
As he spoke, he looked at the Sacred Lord Hao. The Sacred Lord Hao smiled.
Do as you please, but I think it's better not to break the rules. Besides, despair is not necessarily a bad thing. Every era has individuals who stand out. Just like the war god, who single-handedly ended the ancient era and started a new one. Who among his contemporaries wasn't in despair?
Lin Lao raised an eyebrow. The Sacred Lord Hao's words implied that he considered Lin Moyu to be on par with the war god. At least in the Sacred Lord Hao's mind, Lin Moyu's potential was no less than that of Xiao Zhantian back then. Lin Lao finished his tea in one gulp and sighed.
What a pity. If the war god could meet Lin Moyu, he might consider taking him as a disciple.
Madam, you refilled Lin Lao's tea.
Don't talk about impossible things.
The Sacred Lord Hao gently shook his head.
It's not entirely impossible. Let's see what fate has in store.
He didn't elaborate further, and Lin Lao and Madame Yu exchanged a glance, tacitly agreeing not to press the matter. The Sacred Lord Hao knew many secrets that they were unaware of. If he could speak, he would naturally do so. If he didn't, there was no point in asking. Dongfang Zhe was lucky and finally found a leader-level giant beast. It was a wolf-like giant beast, over 10 meters tall, with fur like arrows, each strand standing on end, looking very intimidating. However, to Dongfang Zhe, a leader-level giant beast was not much of a challenge. Took him less than a minute to kill it.
Just as I thought, a leader-level giant beast is at the 3rd rank of the God-King realm, almost reaching the 4th rank. A leader-level giant beast is worth 1,000 points, so a boss-level giant beast worth 100,000 points should be at the 5th rank of the God-King realm. A 5th rank God-King realm giant beast will be a bit tricky, but still manageable.
At this moment, Dongfang Zhe's eyes narrowed as he saw a white light. Within the white light was a white jade token, right next to the giant beast's head.
A white jade token, not bad luck.
1498, 1498.